stand, and we're pushing by a second, but stand soon.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're going to start out with the public hearing on Wood Road annexation. Is there anyone from the public wanting to speak on that? So there's 3 parcels on Wood Road that are leaving the village and becoming part of the town. Going once.
I'll just say that the village has reviewed this, we have no issues and are willing to cede the properties.
Okay. It's really a very simple process because the village is already part of the town, and it's just the difference. They're not paying village taxes because of the services and stuff, just where they're located. So, and we've done this in the past too. The village has absorbed some town properties that it was just a natural expansion. Goes on all the time. So if there's no other comments on the public hearing, I will close that. Okay, now I'm going to start our regular meeting. So the first thing I have to do is we got a village rec agreement before we go into our bills. So you'll find that in front of you. I don't know, did everybody get a copy of that?
I was just looking for that, I don't see it. There it is, right here, okay.
It's a standard agreement we do every year. We need to approve this because we've already written I'll be honest, we've already written the check and stuff because it's something we do every year, and August is coming up. And I just didn't have it in front of me, and just, it was missed on my part. We should have done it last month, but anyways, we have it now. I want to get this approved. And if we don't approve it, then there's no kids in town. Do you want this read out loud, or can you guys read it? Dan, you want to read it? If I read out that, I'm going to lose my voice.
Boy. This agreement made and entered into between the Village of Homer, a municipal subdivision of the state of New York, 31 North Main Street, Homer, New York, and the town of Homer, a municipal subdivision of the state of New York, also 31 North Main Street, Homer, New York. Whereas the village presently maintains a recreation department and offers recreational programs to residents of said village, and whereas the town is desirous to utilize the recreation programs of the village for the benefit of residents of the town, and whereas the village is amenable to allowing residents of the town to participate in the recreation program of the village under the terms and conditions set forth below. Now therefore, it is hereby agreed by and between the village and the town as follows. The village agrees to permit the enrollment of residents of the town in programs offered by the village rec department, provided that residents are otherwise qualified to participate in such programs, and that said residents pay the requisite fees for enrollment. In consideration of the village providing these services to the residents of the town agrees to pay the village the sum of $35,985.00 to be due and payable on August 1st, 2025. The period to be covered by this agreement is the village's fiscal year of March 1st, 25 through February 28th, 2026. In consideration of the sum paid by the town and payment of participation and special fees that may be required of a town resident in a recreation program in the village, residents of the town will not be required to pay the non-resident participation fee. The village makes no warranties to the town as to the extent, nature, or quality of the recreation programs to be offered by the village. The town agrees to indemnify and hold harmless the village, its officers, agents, and/or employees from any claims against the village, its officers, agents, and/or employees arising from the residents of the town participation in any recreation program offered by the village, except for claims arising from the gross negligence or intentional misconduct of the village, its officers, agents, or employees. This agreement may be terminated at any time by either party hereto upon 60 days written notice to the other. If the agreement is terminated by the village, the town shall be entitled to a pro rata refund of its payment. If the town terminates the agreement, there shall be no refund due and owing to the town, and if full payment has not been made, full payment is to be paid by the town within 30 days. The mayor has executed this agreement pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Village of Homer and a meeting thereof held July 8th, 2025. The supervisor has executed this agreement pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Homer Town Board at a meeting thereof held on July 9th, 2025. And then it's signature lines.
So I need a motion. Can you make the motion?
I'll make the motion that we accept the contract and give permission for Supervisor Park to sign the annual contract with the village for the what do we call
Recreation
this?
park.
Recreation. Yes.
Need a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? And this has been ongoing, I don't know, for as long as I can remember. I mean, it's a good contract, so.
Saying as I, Sarah, can we put a sum in that motion? Did we, did I miss the 35,985?
Yeah, we can put the sum in there.
Okay.
35,985.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Alrighty, who is the general bills tonight?
That would be me. I reviewed vouchers number 166 through 198 for the total of $80,336.01. There were a few extra items in here this month, but the biggest one being what we just discussed with the agreement with the village, the $35,985 contract by far is the biggest one, but it's an annual payment, not monthly.
So you're recommending?
Yep, I'm recommending that we approve and pay.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Highway bills.
I audited the highway fund vouchers 85 through 100. We have a lot of work that was done by our friend Kyle on the highways apparently. So some money was spent with Suitco. I believe that it's my understanding this will be reimbursed by CHIP money, if I'm not mistaken. But we did spend $328,821.73 with Suitco. That is obviously the biggest. Total amount $365,404.67. I'll move it be accepted and paid as is.
Need a second on that?
A second.
Sir? Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. The monthly reports we need to receive and file.
I make a motion to receive and file chief's clerk, code, highway dog, and supervisor reports for June of 2025.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So one thing I left off here is our monthly board meeting minutes, so we need to approve them for June.
I'll make the
No,
motion.
they're right there. I'll just skip that. Okay.
I'll make the motion. We accept and approve last month's board meeting.
Okay,
I'll second that.
second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Privilege of the floor. Anybody in the audience?
I was just a little disappointed Kyle didn't drive his new truck to.
I showed up late just so I could get away with it too.
But everything else is good.
We can't get it started.
He's doing the town a favor. He's keeping the miles right.
Okay, yeah, just checking.
Okay, yes?
Bridget Salini, Homer resident. I'd like to know why the town board is unwilling to bring the billboard issue to a public vote, allowing residents to directly decide on a matter which impacts our entire community.
We're gonna discuss that. We're gonna set a meeting tonight. We're gonna go to the next phase for the billboards.
So there's a possibility that a public vote will happen?
Not at the next meeting. There can't be no public vote on this. That's against New York State law because it's what we originally wanted to do. And they said the board has to decide.
It's against the New York State law, you said?
What law is that?
I can't cite the law, but
So-
we researched that.
Yeah, I can touch on that, yeah.
I haven't found that information, so I'd like
Yep.
more information.
Yep, a municipality can only call a referendum on an issue where it's specifically authorized by law. And there's no state law that authorizes referendum on zoning actions. So the board can't legally call one.
Because that's what we originally wanted to do. And we were told, no, we can't.
Okay, thanks, I'll look into it a little more. Thank you for that information.
Anybody else in the privilege of the floor?
Just want to comment obviously about the billboard project. I was driving home from Cortland, or heading north, and couldn't help but notice it was 4th of July traffic, and the column of vehicles heading south. And I was just saying to myself, wow, if this project gets approved, we'll have the ability to kind of, promote the county, promote the town, promote the village, anybody and everybody that does business in Cortland County, so everybody wins. And I was just really excited because I was just thinking about also the Homer Festival. These people could be, brought to their attention that, hey, there's a lot of things going on in the village and the town. So just excited, and thank you for doing it due diligence, and everything seems it's taken forever. Yes, I am the applicant, but in the day, I think it's done very fairly. So thank you for that.
Anyone else privilege of the floor? Okay, so I'm going to close the privilege of the floor. Since we were talking on I was going to bring this up at the end, but I'm going to call what I call our billboard meeting for July 30th at 6:30 to finish. Kevin's going to finish his presentation to the board. We will have limited time for the public to speak, but it's not going to be all out because we're still getting the information on it. And part of that meeting will be, we'll go through that meeting and the board will decide, do we go to the next phase? And the next phase will be the final phase, the seeker, and it'll be a really big open meeting for all the public to weigh in and stuff. But I'm working on our site, and right now I got to call in with the fire department. Pat, I would like to be able to use the community building.
Okay.
So I talked to Tim, and who's the one that schedules it?
Tim is usually the one that schedules it. He's in charge of it.
Van Etten, yeah.
Oh, Doug, yeah.
So they're talking, and I told them, so I gotta give them the date and stuff. But our downstairs, so everybody knows, we pulled the trigger on the remodeling. So that is August 1st. We're gonna begin here. So we're not gonna be able to use the facility. So that's where we're gonna have our meeting. We'll get it advertised better so everybody will know. We're not trying to be sneaky or anything about it. So we're giving everybody lots of time. Is the board okay with that date? Because that's the most important thing. Are you guys good with July 30th? That'll be a Wednesday at 6:30. You're good. You guys all good? Yeah. Okay. So that'll be official. We'll get it advertised. We'll do everything the proper way. And once again, it's to finish your presentation. Go through all that to the board because the board hasn't heard all the presentation. It'll be open to the public. We're gonna have limited. I don't want this to drag on for 3 hours because if you get 80 people here and you give everybody 2 minutes, we'll set up a bigger meeting later on if this goes farther next month or at the 30th. If it goes past that, then we'll set a lot more time so everybody can have their ample opportunity to speak, okay? I just let the public know that or else we'll be here forever. So we'll entertain a few people speaking, and then we want to get to the meeting, and then if it moves on to the next stage, we'll have a bigger, ample time. Privilege of floor. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the Wolf Road annexation. You want somebody else to read it, Dan? I just can't read it that well.
The resolution? Yeah. Before we go into that, though, we should do the seeker part 2.
Oh, okay.
You've got your part 1 already.
Yep.
But just to remind the board, it's the 3 properties on Wolf Road. It's 1130 Wolf Road, 1142, and 1148 Wolf Road. 12.59 acres, 12.84 acres, and 11.68 acres. The 3 parcels would be annexed from the village into the town. And just for the record, stated reasons in the formal petition from the property owners. The mayor has alluded to it already. Those properties, because of the topographic constraints, are unable to connect to village services, I guess water and sewer it would be. They're more rural properties, so they're more in line with the future planning goals of the town. So we can jump into the secret part 2 on the annexation. So I'll ask a series of 11 questions and your answer would be no / small impact or moderate / large impact. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Finally, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Okay, so if the board agrees with that assessment, you can entertain a motion for a negative declaration.
I'll make the motion. Negative.
Declaration. Second. Second. Any other comments on this? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Signature.
There. So next, you can entertain the resolution to authorize the annexation. Keeping in mind that the bar that you have to meet to perfect an annexation is that it is in the best interest of the residents of the town and the residents of the village. With the stated reasons that those three properties cannot connect to the public services in the village. The properties are rural in nature, more in line with the planning priorities of the town. And I think they stated a third one in their petition. I can find it. I think that was it. Oh, and also, all of the other properties on Wolf Road, I believe were also already in the town. They were the only three that were in the village.
Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you want this, the board, do you want this resolution read out loud, or has everybody read it and somebody can make this motion? If you want to read it out loud, I'd have to get one of you guys to read it, because my voice just won't do it.
It doesn't need to be.
It doesn't have to be. It's all what you guys prefer. So if you read it, if somebody wants to make a motion to accept this resolution.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried.
I'll just state for the record quickly, so that it's on the record. The assessor for the town did certify to the ownership of all properties and the assessment value. So that, we're all set there.
Right, we got all that paperwork in a file. So, does the village have to do anything now?
I don't believe so, but I'll check with our attorney.
Okay, so we just give this to our assessor and everything gets changed, right?
Yep, and we'll send signed copy of the resolution to the village as well.
All right. Kyle, you're up.
All that road work, we've been doing our road work for the past 3 weeks probably. If you, in this report is a list of the roads that we've done. But we're still under the construction phase of the roads. It's a multiple day process. You gotta grind them. It's per road, some don't need to be ground up. We're working closely with SUCO and other municipalities to make sure we're spending our money right and getting the best bang for our buck. Put a lot of time and thought into everything on that. But we were able to to come up with a good plan moving ahead. We'll tweak it as we need to go, but we still have work to do on the roads that we've paved. We gotta seal them still, shoulders, so it's gonna be a process. At the end of the year, we'll have what do we do different next? But it's coming along pretty good, so, others, oil and stone treatment, that's a good, we've done a bunch of that already, that's a good way to, it's a very cost-effective way to do things. We did get a couple, concerns about the loose stone on the road. We got a sweeper guy coming tomorrow. The oil and stone has loose rock. So for a month, while it's under construction, there's signs up and you need to, anybody that lives, there's no alternative. The state did a big study, there's a 30-page study, we've talked to multiple municipalities and stuff. But that's about a month after we oil and stone, we're gonna have the guy come in and sweep, suck all the loose stuff up, and then we call it fogging. They spray an oil over the oil and stone, and it will turn out, it's gonna be beautiful, cost-effective, smooth, the money, it'll last way longer, get a lot more life out of the road. So we're also helping other towns. When we have our trucking done, they all come out, we all help each other out. And then everything else in these reports is, we're always doing vegetation management, mowing. We're doing the best we can with the equipment we have. We're shoulders, tree work, potholes, road signs, facility maintenance, it's culverts, inspecting culverts. We're getting these storms now that are, we're out all night, Monday night, cutting trees. And which is part of the job, but moving ahead, we're making sure our culvert sizes are done right. We're won't leave for the lack of effort. So I was told to keep it short by,
Oh, that guy in front of you?
it was tonight, so a lot of the stuff, we're maintaining, everybody's showing up on time, giving 100%, maintaining the equipment. We've had Mike and I have lots of meetings every week, and he's making sure I'm working my butt off, so. And thanks for all the help and support, everybody.
So Kyle, so when you're still up, so
Yeah.
we surplused a bunch of equipment. It all sold. We got we pulled the trigger, so go ahead, Kyle, we'll let you talk about that real quick.
We have 6 pieces of equipment. This stuff is just, a lot of thought into what we're gonna do, and we explored every option and did our due diligence on making sure that we're doing the right thing. So, but we made a list of stuff. We had a couple pickup trucks and
They know they approved it all last month, but it sold.
It sold, yeah.
What was the total price again? 37?
37 and change. I don't have the exact number.
No, but that's close enough, yeah. We did well, I thought, when we looked at the numbers, because we didn't have to accept it, but I thought we did well. The one truck that 2 years ago, we got a bid price of $5,000. We capped it, we got 2 more years out of it. We let it go for $3,500 because it was more than time to get rid of it. That's why we bought Kyle. So we got our money's worth. He bought a blacktop box, I don't know, years ago. We did extremely well on that.
We did, we did.
Our grade we didn't do well on that, but we kind of expected that because it's antique and there's a lot of issues with it, so we debated about that one a little bit, just decided there's no sense keeping it because it's gonna cost us $20,000. That's if we could get it back running for $20,000. We just said no.
And this is a good example of the equipment that we have that we just got rid of that could have been having this new shop or an addition to have more room to work on stuff, keeping it thought out, so we can maintain this stuff moving forward is gonna be huge. So,
So that's gone. With that surplus money coming back, of course, that'll go into the highway department. Kyle's got his new truck. Now he's got to upfit it. So I told him to get prices on the snowplow, a sander unit for that. He's got another truck. He wants to put a sander unit on the smaller trucks because now that we're going to be plowing some other secondary roads, the smaller trucks will need to do that and not run the 10-wheelers down. So a little sander for emergency backups. Am I speaking correctly for you there?
yeah, it's gonna benefit the residents also. It's for us. And the other thing which that I failed to mention to you today about what we were talking about that is if we get ice storms or police, you can't really get out with your big trucks. It's very dangerous. So these smaller trucks, and it's for the cost, it's big trucks are extremely expensive. So it's plus we'll be able to do smaller stuff that's it'll be appropriate for.
So you have prices on that for us next month, but it'll be a wash what we sold there, so that'll work out well. Anything else, Kyle?
The facility, that's coming along. We're working with the contractors. Mike and Caleb, thank you very much. Yep,
Yep, we're gonna get right into that next, yeah.
Okay, yep.
So as you know, the floor is done, that's been done. CCC has started insulating, we're talking about the town highway building now. CCC's been over there insulating, doing the rough study. So now we gotta do the electrical, and this really wasn't on, but I decided to get these pricing. We had to have Tim Smith come in and do some electrical so that we could do our siding and our ceiling and our sidewalls, so he gave us a quote. Caleb graciously went out and got us the 3 quotes that we needed for that, so I can have you talk about that one, Caleb. So this will be on the heating. So what I'd like to do is approve the heating, and I want to finish this building. So we'll be I don't want to say 100% done, we'll be 95% done. There's always going to be some little stuff we have to do there. And this is behind us for the next 20, 25 years. It's the right time to do it. We got the budget to do it. We got the money set aside to do it. So go ahead and go through that, and then I'll wrap up the finances.
So reached out to 3 different vendors, and they were all pretty competitively priced. They all had a scope of work that Kyle and I and Mike had sat down and went through. What we decided to do was 3 more additional radiant tube heating units in the big shop, which is, 50 by 110? I think you said? 50 by 80.
52 by 104.
52 by 104. We decided to go with K&B, best price. What they're going to do is run all new black iron from the front of the building right outside Kyle's office to the big building out back. They're going to cover everything minus the electric, which is going to be covered by Tim Smith. And then we've got a couple other things that CCC is going to have to do just for bracing.
For blocking.
Yep. Other than that, everything's prevailing rate. And they gave us schematics, full breakdown. Pretty easy to work with so far.
And they meet all the requirements. They get their business license, New York State business license, bid a prevailing rate. And if we approve this tonight, they'll provide us with the insurance certificates, everything. We're doing the right protocol.
Yep.
So, Caleb, would you make the motion?
So I make a motion that we hire K&B Plumbing and Heating of Cortland to install 3 radiant heating units for the total of $31,191.
Need a second on that? Second it. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Take care. Thank you for that, Caleb. So I'll get.
Caleb, can I ask who the other 2 people were that you?
Yeah, Heinz Heating and Plumbing out of Marathon, and Holbrooks out of Pompey.
Yep, all well-known names.
Yeah.
And they're all very close, there was just a couple of little differences, but this was the lowest bid. One company didn't include all the piping, because they weren't, so we would've had to hire a separate contractor. But they were still a little bit higher without even having that pipe in it, so this gives us the best product. The only thing that I will have to talk to, and I just went through it, and I'll update you here, the gas company may have to come in and change that meter and put a higher value meter in there, but I'm not positive that's gonna have to happen. So I'll get a call into them, now that this is approved, and have them come up and evaluate it, and tell us if we need a higher.
Would that be an additional expense to us if they had to do that?
It might be, but it shouldn't be, they're just changing the meter.
Got it.
So. Okay, the second part of that is Tim Smith. Tim's consulting and troubleshooting. I did reach out to a couple other companies and nobody got really back to me. Everybody's too busy to mess around with this little stuff right now. But Tim will come in and we have wiring we had to move because the way it was wired, we had lights that had to come down and then reconfigure the wiring and put more lights in with light switches. He'll wire the doors and wire the new heaters in. And that's gonna be a total of $25,000. And again, Tim is fully vested, just like everybody else, we're making sure we go through all the lights. So that'll, with the wiring and the heating and everything else we've done, is gonna give Kyle and the future highway department a usable building for foreseeable future. It'll be done. We don't have to piecemeal this in the future. So I guess I'd like to have somebody make this motion to spend $25,000 with Tim's consulting for the wiring. Somebody would make that.
Kevin, you've been awfully quiet
I
tonight.
have not, I've done, Caleb, how many have I done tonight? At least two.
You make the motion,
I'll make a
Barry?
motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You need a second on that?
Caleb,
Yeah,
second.
Second.
Too late, it's already approved.
Okay.
So what that's doing for us, everybody, so everybody knows. I originally said, I thought doing the concrete and the liner panels was gonna get us close to 200,000. Well, we were well underneath that. So we're gonna have a total, without the overhead doors, because that was a separate grant and stuff, so we're gonna be around a $208,000 mark to get this building pretty much wrapped up.
Great.
So I think we did well. Is it money we really want to spend? No, but at the same time, we needed to do it. If you guys get an opportunity to go over there and see that, it's gonna make a very nice shop for these guys to work in, and as Kyle's saying, to work on it. So we're well within our budget, we got the money set aside for it, so we're in great shape there, so. Just wanna let you guys know where we stood on that. All right, so the next one is I got a credit card increase for the highway superintendent. So we got Kyle a credit card, we had a $1,000 limit on it. Now that we're finding, we're using the credit card more for purchases. Like I said before, it makes it very easy. He gets the purchases, we get the bills, makes it easier. We don't have to keep transferring with a debit card. Once a month we get a bill, it's all itemized, they can do their voucher, it gets paid, there's no interest paid because we pay it before the due date. But we only got a $1,000 limit. $1,000 doesn't go very far. I'd like to raise it at least to $2,000 or $3,000 because he's buying gas, he's buying other. So I think really 3,000 would be a better number because his gas truck, he needs to buy gas. We're not storing gas here at our shop, at our facilities at this point in time. If it changes, I mean, we did have a fuel tank there. The village took that one over because we were never using gas, so they use more gas than we do. So right now, it makes sense just to have the credit card to buy gas, and the other stuff, he needs tools or different products now and then. But I've gotta have the motion, I gotta have it approved by the board, and then I'll file the paperwork with the bank to get the credit card up to, again, I'd like to see 3,000, but if you're uncomfortable with that, we go to a 2.
Make a motion to increase the credit limit to 3,000 for the highway superintendent credit card.
Second.
Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. May take a week or so, Kyle, but I'll get that in motion for you. All right, so we're town hall parking. And I got limited parking in the winter, so we got two things coming up here with our town hall parking. Talking with Phil in the village that plows a lot, it was a very cumbersome situation last winter because these guys would not move their cars, they're plowing around it, so Phil was very frustrated. Phil was very frustrated with the plowing, even though we asked them not to park there during the plowing, and they just.
What are you gonna do with the 6 police cars out back?
The what?
6, 8 police cars?
Well, that's gonna be different, because that's village property, and they'll move the village plows it and they'll work together, but if we got everybody else parking in this lot, it makes it very cumbersome. And also, we're going to have, this time of year, it's not quite so bad, but we're gonna have the construction coming up, we're gonna have containers out there, we're gonna have construction guys parking out there. We really need this year to tell the residents they can't park out there. They're gonna have to come up with something different. I know everybody doesn't wanna hear that. I think we need to do it because our lot's gonna be fuller, it's gonna be busier here. And it was the first year we did that, they abided and were out of there. The second year it was like, who cares, we're gonna leave it here. And we really can't have that because that puts a liability on the village when they're plowing, and if they hit a car or something, they just don't need to be parking here, in my opinion. So your guys' thought, if you don't wanna do it, then we'll have to do a runaround, but I think we need to say, you can't park here during the winter. Thoughts, motion?
No parking past midnight? 11, 10?
Something like that, so that when they get here at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, there can't be a car out there in their way. And if there is, we'll have to have them towed.
Who's parking here?
We got 2 or 3 neighbors here, and they park 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sometimes cars right there, and they just don't. That makes it very difficult to plow. Again, I'm not trying to be mean about this, but we got to look out what's best interest for the town and the village. This building's going to get busier now. So Kevin, you want to make that motion?
Well, let's go a little bit far. Yeah, I'll make the motion that we limit the winter parking in wintertime with dialogue to decide what it is, date it starts. Is it November 1 to April 1? Is that traditional? Dan?
Say October 1st, in case we get an early winter.
Oh, okay. Is it, yeah, I want to be consistent with what we do other places, so I don't want to do anything out of whack.
December's too late.
You don't plow seasonal roads.
Yeah, but they got to make down till December 1st.
I'm just saying, he's not plowing, so.
I'm saying.
All right, just a board discussion.
So anyways, that would be the first thing, the first dial-in I'd like, and then the time frame. The time frame after 11 o'clock. What is traditional? What is traditional for parking lots?
A lot of cities will do this, and they'll alternate, but they'll have it like it's usually midnight. They have to be out so they can plow the next day
By midnight.
by midnight. The last time I lived in Ithaca years ago, and I'm pretty sure we had to be out of there by midnight. It was the same deal. You couldn't have your car on the street in the wintertime because they had to plow around it.
Midnight to 6 a.m. Anybody?
What do you mean midnight to 6 a.m.?
No parking.
No parking.
Midnight
Or you just
to
don't want
6
them there at all.
I'd say midnight to past 6 a.m., probably to 8 or 9.
Well, then you're hitting people that are coming to work.
Yeah, but what if there's a big storm and the villages out plowing the more major roads before they get in here? What do you think, Pat? I mean,
We have people coming in at 8,
so midnight to 7?
midnight to 7.
You good with that, Kevin?
Yep, midnight to 7 would be the first parameter. And October, November.
No earlier than no later than November 1st, because some years if you get snow before that.
First.
I think I would do November 1st.
Okay.
Okay, so let me make a motion that we limit the winter parking in the town of Homer parking lot between from November 1st till April 1st?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be my comment.
And no parking between the hours of midnight and 7 a.m.
Second on that?
I'll second that.
Discussion, any more discussion? Okay, those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Got it. Put me down. I got it.
I think that'll make everything easier for everybody. The clerks, you got any updates?
Not much different from last month. Donna's still shipping away at the balcony, trying to get all the boxes out of there. We're moving stuff around because of the new construction. Brooke has been talking with all the other different departments and figuring out what their space looks like. Wedding season is upon us, so that keeps us busy. Other than that, a couple weeks DEC opens on August 1st, so that usually pumps up mid-August to late September.
Have you been making out with the wedding certificate finding?
It actually did slow down. I think everybody must have figured out their real ID or their enhanced license, but yeah, it was pretty intense there for a good 2 months.
To go right from busy tax time to marriage time.
To DEC time, back to tax.
I won't say anything else. Update us on the website, please.
Last time we talked to him, Frank actually came in and introduced himself, which was really nice. We didn't expect him to do that. We gave him a map, or the zoning map of the town, which he was super appreciative of, because he does have a drone gentleman to come to take pictures for the website, and he had a couple questions with the town hall being in the village. So we got that all straightened out for him and showed him the map, because he said, he didn't want to just do Main Street because that's technically not the town. So he was happy. We haven't actually heard from him since right before July 4th. So hopefully we hear back from him. I would hope by the end of this week, maybe early next week.
So as you remember, we want to update our website, but for a couple of reasons: make it more user-friendly, make it more live time, because it's going to be very important for moving forward, and also to meet the requirements by the New York State and federal government. So and by the end of the year, we're going to change our email addresses also. So that's coming right along. The next one is the comprehensive plan funding. So we have a motion here that we've already done it once, but Dan said that we need to redo it. So I'm already starting to lose my voice, so I can't read this, so Dan. The fun of being a lawyer sitting in the front with us, right?
So this is a resolution to authorize an application for Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan funding. Whereas the town of Homer is ready to update its outdated comprehensive plan, and whereas the town has completed most tasks in a previously adopted plan requiring a community-led process to determine a new set of goals, and whereas New York's consolidated funding application is offering funds through the CFA round this year for developing a new comprehensive plan with smart growth concepts, and whereas the funding round is currently open with applications through July 31st, 2025, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Homer authorizes the town supervisor to submit an application on the town's funds through the Smart Growth Program to develop a new comprehensive plan.
So we need somebody to make that motion.
All right, I make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to apply for an application for the Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan funding. That's it.
So we need a second on
I'll
it.
second.
Those in favor say aye. Opposed? So we already formed a committee that's been working on it. And if you read Mike McMahon's report, it should be in your packet. And he was heading that up for me, and there's a couple, I think Sarah, you were on it, and Caleb. So they've already gone through some groundwork on that, so that's gonna be going in shortly. We're gonna be having another meeting coming right up, if I understood that right. So kind of letting them head that up, and appreciate that, guys. So we applied last year, we didn't get it, so we had to beef it up, what we're doing. So hopefully this year we'll get the grant, and then we'll go into a full-fledged comprehensive, and then we'll have to form a couple more committees. So town information to the public, I hope everybody saw our article that we put in the Homer News last month. I give Caleb an apology for whatever reason, he got left off as a council person. I don't know how I did that, I thought I had everybody, more than one person proofread it, but we all missed it. My apologies, we didn't mean to do that, he's a very important part of our team
That's
here.
fine.
We'll make amends this month, but, so I hope you got a chance to see it, read it, so we're gonna do it, we're gonna keep doing it now, that was a full page, we're gonna go to a half page to try to communicate with the town better. So if you guys got stuff you wanna communicate, we're gonna spread it out a little bit, we'll make mine a little more concise, like to get the highway superintendent, and anybody here that wants to write something, just let me know, and we're gonna include it in there. But we're gonna start communicating better to the town. I've got a lot of good compliments, people are really appreciating that we're reaching out like that. Your guys' thought on that? Keep going.
That's great.
It's good.
Next thing we have to do is we need to reappoint the assessor. That has to be done every, 5, 6 years, so. But they're completing this form, so we've already completed the form, it's Brian Fitz for the town of Homer. So from October 1st of 2025 through September 30th of 2031. So we need a town motion to appoint Brian as our assessor for the next, 6 years?
I'll make the motion
Okay.
to appoint Brian for the next 6 years as town of Homer assessor.
I'll second it.
Second.
Mhm.
Any other discussion on that? Is there anything else we should add to that, Dave?
That notice came from the state, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember seeing this one. Yeah.
So those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Update on our town hall bid. So I signed all the contracts. Barry was here, Fred was here, the mayor was here, chief of police was here. So we had a good meeting. We signed the contracts. Frustration level is a little high with our architect yet, and it's probably gonna remain that way through this whole project, but I'm pushing hard on this project. I wanna say we're working at warp speed, but we've really ramped it up. We've already had meetings with the plumbing contractor this week. We've had meetings with the New York State Electric and Gas. We've had meetings with Beard Electric to bring a generator in here. Part of when we went through this, we're putting an emergency generator. And they knew we were changing the location, and our architect sits here, well, no, we didn't do anything with that. And there. So we're gonna put a generator, we don't even know we got gas service for it yet. Was not happy that. So I met with the gas company, not a problem. We're gonna pull our gas off, Water Street here, just like what we wanted to. It's gonna come, our generator's gonna be out here. This is really gonna work out well because they'll put the gas meter in, it'll be all hooked up. We'll keep natural gas coming in the other direction, so we got cooling and everything will keep on going. And then they can tie it in at one time, so we'll be down like a half a day or something, because we've talked about this. Logistics are everything. This building cannot be shut down for very long, so we'll coordinate it like on a Friday or something for that logistics. So we got that straightened away. That is gonna cost us a little bit, talking with NYMO, but that's why we got some contingency. That I met with them, they measured it out, they're gonna give me a contract, so I'll be signing that and get that moving forward because we have to have it. It's just part of doing business. The other thing too is our water coming in. We talked about that and he kinda let that one slide by too. So talked with Pat, we got Keith for the water department. So they're here, they're gonna help us install. They will help us, they will have to do it. Cut in a new main coming into this building. It's gonna have to be a little bit bigger, get it down deeper so we don't have the freeze issue to feed this building. That was part of what we needed to do because we had some trouble in the past. So thank you, Pat, for, we're working together on all this to make this happen. I've already talked to the senior citizens. They're gonna be out of here at the end of the month. Starting August 1st, some contractors are gonna start working here. So we're pushing this as fast as we can. We got equipment ordered, any lead times like the generator and stuff. I didn't want them to order the generator, we'll make sure we had gas. Now that we know we can get gas, we get generators ordered, so we're gonna do this as smoothly and as quickly as possible, but there's a lot of moving parts here, I'll tell you that. Yes, Pat?
Just so you all know, the seniors will be at the community building, in the interim, so they have a place to go.
Yeah. We do have a lot of stuff downstairs that has to get moved. Kyle's gonna help move some of it. We got the court stuff, and I believe we have enough room between the balcony on our side and the balcony on the village side. You know, we go up two separate stairs, so kind of village is on one side, on the north side, and the town is on the south side. So it's a little bit segregated, so the records are, but the courts and stuff, so we're working that out. The girls got a plan on some of that stuff, so we're working it out. If push comes to shove, we may have to get a outside storage container, but I don't think so. It looks like the plan that everybody's come up with, we're gonna make it happen. Probably the village guys will have to come over and help the village move some stuff, our town guys will help move some stuff, so we'll get it figured out. But at the end of the month, this place has to be empty downstairs, because the electricians are gonna get in there and start taking lights down, so it's gonna be happening, so excited about it. Which is gonna bring up parking out here. We're gonna have to do more traffic control, we're gonna have to be careful, we'll get all the contractors that are working to park, their employees can park at the end of the lot, because we can't block everything off. This side over here is gonna be the main entrance to go in for construction, so the court will stay open, because with the way that is set up, they can come in from the east side and come in, we'll block it off, and most of the contractors will go through this door. They may have to go downstairs a little bit, we did ask them, only as an emergency come in the front. We're trying to keep that free. We still gotta have our handicapped accessible. But we'll work that out. Everybody very agreeable to work with, very good group of contractors, I thought, in New Paltz. So, you know, we're underway. I'm excited about this. Finally, after all these years, we're underway. Okay, so sales tax, and it's still out there. This is so frustrating. So we had an agreement worked out. Not the agreement we wanted, but the county and the city said they had an agreement, and this is what we were getting. And then so all the town supervisors and the mayors, we got together and we hammered out agreement amongst ourselves. I was going to split. Well, that all went away now, because the county, when they got ready to vote on it, the city said, no, we're pulling it. They were talking about preempting. So they started going down that road, and that came to a screeching halt, because I think they grew a set of brains and decided that may not be in their best interest. So now I don't know where it's going. I've been talking to Kevin Fish. I've talked to the mayor of Cortland. What are you guys doing here? We got to know. So right now, my feeling is they're going to have to honor the agreement for another year, so which is going to be to our benefit, because it's budget time for us. We're getting very close. We got to start doing budgets, and they know that. So if they don't pull the trigger here in the next couple of weeks, I think, which is going to be good for us because we get a bigger share this way, so it's going to be better financially for us. But again, it's frustrating. All the other supervisors and everybody, they're very frustrated. They're calling me, "What are we doing?" I can't do nothing. We're not the county, you know. So that's where we're on that. Yes, Pat.
And again, the county legislature is off for the month of July.
That's right. I forgot that too. They don't have enough to do, so they can.
Yeah.
Pat and I talked about that, but we decided, maybe that wouldn't work. Anyway, so that's where we are. So the next two things are a little seasonal road policy. We talked about that. I need a team of a couple of people to start looking at that. I gave you some information. And what that's going to involve is we have to look, we have a lot of seasonal roads, a lot of roads that we don't plow. And you can see last month that we're extending a road out by Sarah a half a mile for one house. Other towns have policies not preventing anybody from building there, but takes the town off the hook from spending tons and tons of money on those roads. I just think we need to form a team and start looking at the laws and see if we want to do something, because we have, as a town, a very lot of seasonal back roads. We get a house here, and right now we're required by law, because we have no other stipulations. We have to plow it and maintain it. So if you have one house that's a mile down the road and there's nobody else there, that's a phenomenal amount of money for the town of Homer. I'm not saying we're gonna refuse to plow it, but there can be some stipulations. So I'd like to have two people look into that. We can give you other laws and just look into that, and in a couple of months, I think come back and say, you know, this is what we should be doing, or maybe we don't wanna do anything. But right now, state law, because I looked into it, we are on the hook. Somebody could build 5 miles away from anybody else, we have to plow that road. You'd like to look at it? Anybody else be interested in doing that?
I can.
You would like to? All right, so we'll give you whatever information and you can Google it and we can talk if you want a little bit more. So the other thing too, you'll see in your town items and development needs here, this paper that I put together. So I put a lot of stuff on here, so I'm trying to keep you guys up to date on what's going on. So we got the billboards, we gotta get that resolved at ASAP. This has dragged on way too long. We gotta bring this home. And we're gonna do it in the next 2 months or something I have in here. So July 30th is gonna be our meeting on that. Website development, we're working on that. The Homer News newsletter, our first one went out, got good response back on that. I'm still convinced I'd like to see us do a Facebook page, but I think we need somebody to help set that up unless our clerks can do that. Like can you guys set up a Facebook page? You know how to do that?
I do. I was waiting for the website to be done.
Okay, so we'll coordinate that with the website?
Mhm.
Okay, fine. We got an email change by January of 2026. We got sales tax effects. We don't know what they're gonna be yet. Town property reevaluation is coming up with Brian Fitz. I talked to Brian. So letters will be going out first of September, which is gonna work well because I'm gonna have him do an article. We're gonna put it in the Homer News to try to explain. Everybody's panicking. They think automatically we're doing this as a money grab. It's not a money grab. It's an equalization rate for the town because we lose out on state funding. We lose out on sales tax revenue because our equalization rate is 65. We need to get it closer up to 100. So it's gonna be a benefit. Will some people pay more in taxes? Yes. Other people will pay less. Majority of the people should never affect, because if the house increases in value, our tax rate will come down. Okay, so not everybody understands that, so we want to really communicate that better. It's a 2-year process. Brian is ramping up on that now. But I just want to communicate that. I put this together for you guys so you could see where we're at on different things. I put our town highway garage, who was doing different things with that. So if something happens to me or I'm not around, you guys, you get the same information I have. You know what's going on, okay? The lower level, these are our contractors. Coming up, we got bridge repairs. We got Ayers Road Bridge repair, that's up off Colebrook Road. That was supposed to be done last year, didn't get done. I was gonna make sure it gets done this year. We got a Sweeney Road culvert repair. And we got other culverts, so we're working on that. Sweeney Road culvert, I may have to wait till next year. That's gonna be a bigger repair. We got a new tractor and mower that's coming from SEI Mower and John Deere Tractor. So the big one coming up is our highway department equipment needs for the upcoming next couple of years. So what I challenging Kyle and myself, we're gonna develop a 5-year plan for equipment needs, road needs, so it's gonna be 2 separate plans. One for equipment, one for highway repairs, one for building repairs. Because we're still gonna have building repairs even though we do all this remodeling. But we still have that. And then we're gonna do a 5-year budget, projecting out 5 years. It doesn't mean all this is gonna be cast in stone, but we gotta do a 5-year plan here because we're gonna have some big expenditures coming up for equipment for the highway department. Kyle and I have been spending a lot of time going over equipment needs and stuff, so I'm just gonna give you guys a heads up. Next month, we're gonna have to pull the trigger and get another dump truck ordered. We got 2 dump trucks that are in pretty rough shape. Our boxes are pretty much almost to the point of being non-usable. The trucks are older, and these are some of our older trucks. I thought we were gonna be in good shape, and it's not proving that way. He brought one up to our shop and we looked at it and evaluated the boxes. So he got us some prices on boxes and stuff. So if we revamp those two trucks, we're gonna spend over $150,000 per truck. Doesn't make sense, because we still got a truck that's approaching 15 years old. So it's time, we'll get through this year. I said, we can't do it this year. We'll pull the trigger in August. You can give me prices so we can evaluate it. It'll be a year and a half, 2 years before we have to pay for it. So there'll be good timing. We can budget for it. We won't have to borrow. We're never gonna borrow money. I'll tell you that. We got the reserves that we can do this. But we'll get it budgeted. So we gotta budget other equipment. He needs a wheeled excavator and stuff. That's why it's so important that we build this 5-year plan. We're finding a lot of our equipment hasn't been maintained very well, and we're just behind the 8 ball. We really are. So we gotta get that rectified in the next 5 years. It just seems like we hit the perfect storm with these 2 building projects and equipment needs. That's ongoing. So I mean, equipment is ongoing. We're finding culverts are undersized, that's why they're flooding. We're finding culvert bottoms are rotten, and then we gotta address. So we get some bigger ticket items. We got 2 bridges here. We got 2 bridges here in town. We gotta figure out in the next few years what we're gonna do with it. Albany Street Bridge, that's our main bridge. I've seen some reports on that. It's not yellow flagged or red flag. Red flag means you can't use it. Yellow flag's a caution. It's falling. A lot of the concrete's starting to fall off. We need to develop a plan. Maybe we can look at slowing that down, because if that bridge goes out, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble here. And I'm not saying it's in danger right now, but if, within 10 years, so we gotta start looking at that stuff. That's why it's so important that we build a 5-year plan. So Kyle and I will be working on some of that, and then I'll bring you guys in, and, I'll be working on the budget part of it. Fred will be helping on that too, and again, everybody will be well versed on that, but that's why it's so important that we need to develop that for the future. Any questions or comments on that? Sound good to you guys? It's just the way it is, and we've never really had a very good 5-year plan looking out ahead what we need for equipment and so forth, so we need to get it done. Other than that, we're getting about through it. Dan, you got any updates?
Sure. I guess just a couple points on some of the solar stuff that's going on. It was at the last meeting, you had asked some board members to start thinking about revisions to the local solar ordinance. But since then, the BDC IDA, I guess, has informally announced that they're going to put a committee together.
No, the county planning.
County planning.
I went to a county planning
Okay.
board, and they decided, all the supervisors and different planning boards are there.
Okay.
And they decided we wanted a uniform for Cortland County, so they were gonna head that up. And I asked Mike, as our planning chairman,
Okay.
to be part of it, but he's comes on the IDA, so he's got a good.
Yeah. Okay. So they're going to come up with, it sounds like, a model solar law that they, I guess that the goal would be that municipalities all adopt the same law. So we'll see what comes of that. And then I am mostly through the host community agreement for Homer Solar. I'll have a couple points to share with you on that. And then the road use agreement is just going to take a while. It's like 130 pages.
I guess I wouldn't get too, so what we're talking about, if you remember right, Homer Solar, that's gonna be a big one up by the landfill. It's gonna be one of our biggest ones in the area, so that's come back to life. We've met with them, they're coming back.
It's October, right?
Yeah.
For a public meeting.
Yeah, they're gonna meet with the towns first and then go to public. But anyway, so I challenged them on a couple of parts. I wanna know, what are you gonna do for our roads? What are you gonna do on your host agreement, because I wanna read it, but the more I read on a host agreement, our hands are kinda tied by the state. The roads, and why, we really need to see what roads they're talking about using, because a lot of the roads that could be going up and down is county roads. And the county's already got a pretty tight law. Well, we wanna make sure if they go on Parks Road or whatever, so I wouldn't kill yourself just yet on that till we know what the routes are being.
I'll hold off. I'd be happy
Right,
to hold
there's
off
no
on
sense
that one.
wasting a lot of your time if they're mainly using county roads.
So does that mean whatever solar local law that these guys may come up with, these 2 projects are too far past, wouldn't apply for any of them?
Yeah, they wouldn't be subject to it anyway. All the siting for this project, because it's so big, goes through the Office of Renewable Energy Siting at the state level. So we don't have any siting authority over that project.
So even if the Cortland County does come up with a
Yeah,
solar law, it's not gonna matter.
No,
for the
'cause
big
it's over
projects. The
25
state-
megawatts,
The state's
yeah.
gonna override it.
state
Already
preempts any local, they will look at local zoning. They probably won't consider anything that's newly adopted because this project has been in the works for a couple of years now, so, but yeah.
And that's been a big frustration part on our town board and stuff, because as I said, and a lot of them, the towns take it up the chin because the state just walked all over our zoning laws. Where you have to have a 15-foot setback from your lines and stuff, they can go right to your line, because the state said they can do whatever they want, basically.
Even with smaller scale projects, like a 5 megawatt community solar project, which might be like 20 acres. Now what's happening in the courts is, if a municipality denies a permit, the courts are now saying that the denial of that permit in most cases is contrary to state renewable energy policy, and they're overturning the local decisions.
Even if they've got like the soil farmland definition.
Yeah, I mean, they do take that into consideration, but we're just seeing them shoved right through.
Anything else?
No.
Anyone from the board have anything they want to chime in? Okay. Appreciate Caleb doing everything, getting these quotes for me and everybody else. Asking Barry for a lot of stuff. And so if you guys can figure out a time to get together and start working on your stuff. So with that, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.